Where they at? 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 Come on now. If you wanna go and take a ride with me, we three willing in the four with the goatees. Oh, why do I live this way? Must be the money. If you wanna go and get with me, smoke.
Good morning, everybody. It's 9:08 on a beautiful Thursday morning. 22 degrees in the peg. Yeah, can't ask for a better day. A little bit of a breeze. Got a busy day. It's been a busy week. Photographed the Manitoba Real Estate Association's golf tournament on Tuesday. Hopefully you guys saw that vlog. And yesterday morning on Wednesday, we were at the Royal LePage Alliance office meeting, their monthly office meeting, and we did a presentation there, just talking about our services and such. Excuse my voice, still a little under the weather, actually a lot under the weather, but got to get the job done. Yesterday, another interesting thing happened is a friend of mine from high school. We haven't talked in years, but he messaged me on Facebook asking about cameras. He's got a little point and shoot camera and just wants to upgrade to something like an SLR or DSLR digital camera, and just wanted my opinions on what he should be looking at. He had some ideas on what he wanted to look at. He had a budget, but after talking to him and doing some research for myself and what he wanted, I think he realized that his budget was a little low, but help him fit him into a better camera system for what he wants to do. And so I thought I would talk about that today. Tips to when you're going to buy your first camera. And the first tip, the number one tip is, what do you want to shoot? Are you doing this just for family portraits? Are you planning to travel? Does weight have a factor? The weight of the whole system? Do you want interchangeable lenses or non-interchangeable lenses? There's a lot to know before you even think about purchasing your camera. So you really want to know what you want to shoot. Are you going to be, like I said, a landscape photographer, portrait photographer? Are you planning to start doing this as a business? Those are all things you have to take into consideration before you even go out to the store. And if you know photographer friends, ask them. There's tons and tons of information online, and it can be very overwhelming, but do your homework first, then go down to the camera store. Tip number 2, budget. You need to know how much you're willing to spend. Now, if you're just doing this for fun and you're not planning to do it for any type of business, well, you don't need a $5,000 camera system. If you have the budget for it, by all means, go spend it. But know your budget, know ahead of schedule before you go into the store. Be realistic too. Camera equipment isn't cheap. It is a lot cheaper than it used to be, but it's not cheap. My third tip would be to go down to a camera store. I go see the guys at Photo Central, Chris at Photo Central, and I also go see Dave at Henry's on Kenniston for any of my camera equipment purchases. They're very knowledgeable, and that's important. When you go down to the store, you want to know that the staff at the store is going to be there to help you get the equipment that's in your best interest, and not kind of just, oh, well, you need this. So, but like I said, Chris and Dave over at Photo Central and Henry's, great guys to talk to. But when you go to the store, everyone worries about, brands and this and that. The main thing for me when I purchased my camera, it wasn't, Nikon versus Canon versus Sony versus Sigma, all those camera brands. It was what felt good in my hands, where the buttons were placed and such like that. And Nikon was the perfect fit for me. I've shot with Canon cameras and I just don't like their button layout. I now own Sony. Their button layout's terrible, but I'm starting to get used to it. Their buttons are very customizable, so I've been able to set it up a little better for what I'm using. But go down to the store and test the cameras out in store. Get a feel for them, And then the third tip is lenses. So this goes back to tip number 1, where you want to know what you're planning to shoot. So, and that's really important, because that's also gonna, help you decide on which lenses you're gonna get. If you're gonna go mostly portraits, well, you're gonna want, something like a 50mm lens. That's a great lens for portraits. It's probably one of the most common lenses for portraits. We call it the Nifty 50, or in Canon, the Plastic Fantastic. Those are really good. If you need a wide angle, if you're planning to do landscapes, you want something a little wider, maybe anywhere from 14 to 18 millimeters. Going back to cameras a little bit, there's a lot of different setups of cameras. There are things called crop sensor, and there are things called full frame sensors. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about that, but ask the expert at the store what the differences are and how they'll affect your image quality and such like that. On that note, crop sensor cameras are usually cheaper than full frame cameras, so just keep that in mind. You'll hear it a lot: glass, glass, glass. Lenses are probably are almost more important than the camera body itself. The better the lenses, the more expensive they are, but generally you're going to get better image quality. Now, once again, our lenses are affected by the camera. Crop sensor are full frame. A lot of times full frame lenses will work on a crop sensor lens, and crop sensor lenses almost always will work on a full frame lens. But when you're purchasing lenses, make sure you talk to the rep at the store and have them discuss with you the difference between what they call DX lenses and full frame lenses. What's next after that? I guess tip number 4, do you need lighting? If you're planning to do portraits, and this goes back again to what are you going to shoot? Are you planning to do this for a business? Are you going to need studio lights, etc., etc., etc.? So, do you need lighting? I recommend always purchasing what we call an off-camera flash, the big flash that you'll see on top of a camera. The pop-up flash, they're pretty crappy. They're good for in a pinch, but they're terrible. So if it's in your budget, make sure you get an off-camera flash. A lot of times, I would say for about $1,500 to $2,000, you can step into a very, very good camera system that you can grow into and get better and better and better, and it's going to last you a while. Also, technology. There are cameras out there that are a few years old. Compare, see if there's a newer model. It's probably in your best interest to spend the $200, maybe $300 more than the old model. That way, you're up to date on technology, and that camera's probably going to last you, 4, 5, 6 years. And then it's just a matter of upgrading glass if you decide to take it more seriously. So, just a little quick tips for going out and buying a camera. I highly recommend you do your research first. If you're curious, hit me up on Facebook, post it in the comments, email me, instant messenger, whatever. I'll do my best to help you out. But the experts at the store, I'm going to recommend, I'll do some research for you, but I always recommend go down to the store, try them out in store, get a feel for the cameras, and understand what you want to do with your photography. So that's today's episode. Hope you enjoyed those quick tips on buying an SLR. I've got a busy day ahead of me, so I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
What it is, what it is, what it is, what it is.